Hello, everybody. Welcome to our first installment of the Yeti Cave Radio show. I'm Alex Nicholas.
And I'm Max Willis. And today we will be talking about the Colorado Avalanche, our main focus for our home team. They started out pretty well in the season. They're still doing well, but man, these past couple days, Alex, I don't know what they've been up to. 2 losses in a row, coming from the East. Starting out early, the East was looking the least, but now they're putting pretty good fight up right now.
I know the last 2 losses, 2 goals only in their last 2 games. The most recent one was a 3-1 loss to the Philadelphia Flyers. But I don't understand what they were doing. They had 4 games in a row before that, and in that 4 games they were outscoring opponents 18-9.
That's ridiculous. 18-9. How many times can you get a team to go 18-9 and come to a 2-game losing streak with guys like Landeskog, Duchesne, Varlamov,
McKinnon, who's been playing out of his mind.
You got a collection of good young players. 2 losses in a row might not be anything, but they need to get back to their 4-game winning streak era and continue just to dominate this league.
Exactly. I believe they're in one of the toughest divisions. I mean, I think anyone would really agree with me. Chicago, St. Louis, Colorado, Minnesota, all right there. Chicago and St. Louis, easily 2 of the best teams in the West. I don't know about what you think.
Easily. St. Louis, I don't know where this team came from, but they've always been consistently in the uppers. They've been in and out of the playoffs, but they have always been a good team. Chicago, though, recently exploding for the past couple years. 2 Stanley Cups. Young talent, Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane.
It's a hard, in my opinion, like I said, most difficult division to be in. And Colorado is just an up-and-coming team. Mm-hmm. I think they got some bad luck being in this division. Like I said, Chicago and St. Louis, that's just a ridiculous 2 teams to have ahead of you. It's going to be hard to catch them.
Definitely going to be hard to catch them. Chicago, I believe, right now could possibly be a favorite for another Stanley Cup
absolutely.
Running. But
go ahead.
All right. Well, I believe Chicago's in for running for another Stanley Cup playoff run, Stanley Cup final run. But Colorado, I'd like to see them come up this time. They're a young team with their coach Patrick Waugh, who has insanely turned this team around from last year to bring them into such a high quality young team that they are.
Oh, absolutely. It was only a matter of time. The Avalanche were stockpiling young talent, but never really went anywhere. I mean, they had Duchesne for a while, but he seemed to be by himself. He didn't do too much. Landeskog came along, McKinnon came along, and I still think this is one of the most offensively gifted teams, or if not one of the fastest, most speed. Duchesne and McKinnon, easily also 2 of the fastest players in the NHL. Not even a question.
Easily. Their speed is unmatched. There's only a couple players in this league that I think can even come close to their speed, but the collection of speed on this team is unmatched.
Speed, grit, Max Talbot, they got great defense, they got good goaltending. I mean, there's no reason this team should not make the playoffs. There's no reason.
Oh, without a doubt they're making the playoffs. No question about it. If you have Patrick Waugh as your coach, you're going to be getting good goaltending, as Patrick Waugh is one of the greatest goalies of all time.
Absolutely.
And come on, Joe Sakic is up there in your leadership for management. It's just unnecessary just to think that this team is not going anywhere.
Well, the only bright spot, I mean, in that 3-1 loss to the Flyers, Varlamov, he played pretty well, 34 saves, not bad after allowing 5 goals against the Rangers. They lost 5-1 the night before, so a much better improvement, but I don't understand why this team isn't scoring goals. Like I said, only 2 goals in our last 2, and 4 goals in our last 3. That's going to have to change. I mean, it's only a small patch, but they're going to have to pick it up because Minnesota is inching closer. It's 8 points behind, but they're 6-2 in their last 10. So Colorado's got to watch out. I mean, you won't want to lose a spot to Minnesota. I mean, with the year they've had.
Mm-hmm. Definitely watch out for Minnesota. But for the loss against Philly, I give a lot of credit to Steve Mason. That guy has been a brick wall lately.
Yeah.
He is insane. He is returning back to his Calder Cup, to his Calder year for the Columbus Blue Jackets, and just shutting everyone down.
Well, the Flyers though they've been playing pretty well. 5-4-1 only. That's my bad, but they have won 3 in a row now, and Flyers did turn it around from this year. They were at the bottom of the standings, but right now they're at 64 points, only 1 point behind the second place Rangers, who have 65. But not even close to the Penguins for the top spot, so.
I didn't expect Philadelphia to stay at the bottom of the long. They have good talent.
Oh, no way.
I didn't expect them at all to stay down there. They have good talent, a lot of young up-and-coming players. But for me, they don't seem to have anyone that stands out yet as like the major top man. Claude Giroux's good, but on any other team, he's a second-line center. There are so many good competitive teams out there and so many great players. But Claude Giroux, great player, but he's standing on a second line. Philadelphia needs an all-star player.
Yes, they do. And like you brought up a good point. I believe people wrote off Philadelphia way too early. They had a bad start, and everyone said that if they even finished 500 for the season, it'd be good. But I knew they were going to turn it around. But what do you think their playoff chances are? Do you think they have a chance?
I think they have a chance at the bottom seven spot or 8 spot.
That's a dangerous 7 or 8 team to play in the playoffs. They really come to play in the playoffs.
Definitely a dangerous team to play. But right now, I'd say they're dangerous, but coming out of this whole funk at the beginning of the year and all that, I still say they're a decently dangerous team, but almost a lot of the teams could pull it off in probably 6 to 5 games against them. I don't count them out. I expect them to do very well and make it to the playoffs, but right now, I have to say that their playoff run chances are looking okay.
Yeah, I believe so.
Not as good as past years, but okay right now.
All right, well, the Avs got one more game before this Olympic break, and they'll be taking on the Islanders at Nassau Coliseum. The Islanders, 3-6-1 in their last 10. I am a little surprised about that. After making the playoffs last year and the talent they had, I don't know. Not this year. They have not lived up to par. I thought they were going to be after that playoff berth. I thought they were going to be turning it on this year, but they're sitting at the bottom of the division with 52 points. That's really disappointing for a team that made the playoffs last year.
That is disappointing, and I have to say, they're kind of in a mess right now with all the talk about all the trades, and all the guys that aren't signing. They offered Thomas Vanek a substantial deal, and McDonald said he doesn't want to return to them, which surprises me because with John Tavares easily could be a face of the NHL if he wasn't on the
Absolutely.
Islanders.
On any team that had some more offense, He's only a few points behind Crosby, and he's on the last place team. So which leads me to believe, who's more impressive, Crosby on a great team with leading the league, or Tavares, who's on a team that's in dead last with only second place in points? I think that to me is outstanding.
That's incredible. He is an incredible player, and will always be a top scorer on the Islanders. And I believe he will be one of the elite players to come. I would love to see him win a Stanley Cup before he retires. Anything like that. He's been a good guy, an offensive threat for any team. For me, he is going to be a changing part in Team Canada. Is he on Team Canada?
Yes, and I did some research last night, and this actually kind of blew me away. Tavares is right now projected to be the 3rd or 4th line center for Team Canada. Just to give you a picture of how deep Team Canada is, but Tavares as your 3rd or 4th line center, I mean, that also leads me to believe Team Canada easily has a chance to blow the Olympics right out of the water. Tavares on a 4th line, you got to be kidding me.
That's ridiculous. I don't know how much depth you have, but Team Canada has actually someone actually listed the depth of Team Canada for the past couple years. Well, not for the past couple years, but for the next couple teams. If they didn't even have this first team right now, they have listed B team, C team, all these different teams that would just blow any other team out of the water. I only the last Winter Olympics, I don't even expect Team Russia to do that well. I love Evgeny Malkin and I love Nail Yakupov and I love all the other guys, but right now, Team Russia is not looking any better than their 2010 run.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I really don't think they have a chance this year. Not that I don't think they're going to do well, but I really think this year is all about Canada. Even with the injury to Stamkos, Canada is just looking completely stacked.
Go back to Stamkos here. I love Stamkos. Great player, phenomenal player, and he is up there to be one of the best players right now in this current generation. Hands down, him, Crosby, Tavares, big names in the league. I think they'll remain big names in the league for a long time. But right now, with St. Louis taking over, I think that is a phenomenal choice. I honestly...
St. Louis should have made a team in the first place, I believe.
Yeah, St. Louis
You
should
can't cut a
definitely...
guy like that out.
I think Carter is on the team this year. I don't know how they put Carter over St. Louis.
I don't understand it.
In all honesty, I don't know how they put Carter over Claude Giroux. I like Claude Giroux over Jeff Carter. Jeff Carter's a scoring touch, but man, Claude Giroux is just way better.
Oh, well, talking about the Olympics, we have 4 players from the Avalanche going. Landeskog playing for Sweden, Stasny playing for USA, Duchesne making his Olympic debut for Team Canada, and Varlamov between the pipes for Russia, maybe. I don't know if think he'll get any playing time, or who do you think is going to be starting for Russia?
For Russia, I'd like to see Sergei Bobrovsky start. But right now, I think the starter of the team is going to be the guy from the KHL. I cannot remember his name, but he is the one that is being favored to start right now. And I looked up some highlights of him the other day, and I believe that he will be one of the key factors for Team Russia right now. Because that is who they need right now. They need a good goaltender. That was what happened in 2010, and that's what's going to happen this year unless he steps up.
All right, well, what about Matthew Shane? You made the team. Were you surprised that he made Team Canada?
Not real. I'm not really surprised. He is incredible and has deserved to be put on the team. He is a superstar in the making and will be incredible for the years to come. And
I agree with you. I mean, I believe he deserves it too. I mean, the guy is an all-around player. He's got, like I said, blinding speed. He can fit in on any line they really need him to. Right now, a lot of projections online don't even have him in the starting lineup. They have him as a sub-player if they need him, which I believe is a bit ridiculous. I mean, why wouldn't you need a guy like Duchesne? His speed, his puck handling, playmaking, I think he could easily fit on any line, and he might even get on a third or fourth line with the injury to Stamkos, and I don't know, you never know.
For right now, though, I would like to see Duchesne. I think he can make it as the fourth-line center for the team and possibly be one of the biggest he could be a big difference maker for the team.
What about Paul Stasny? He's no stranger to Team USA.
He is no stranger, and I am happy he made it. He is an incredible USA player, born and bred, and will be a game-changing factor for Team USA along with the rest of the team, who has Zach Parise, Paul Martin,
Patrick Kane.
Yeah. It's led by Dan Bilesma, who has led one of the greatest Penguins team in recent years. Is just, I think, a good choice. He's a good coach who knows how to work with superstars. He works with Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin, and those are probably the two of the biggest superstars right now in hockey, besides Alexander Ovechkin. Because when you ask a team player, do you know who Evgeny Malkin is or do you know who Sidney Crosby is, they know who they are.
Yeah.
They're always top choices for the best players each year. And right now, Dan Bilesma is showing that he can control the superstars and work really well with them.
And what about Gabe Landeskog playing for Sweden, team captain of the Avs at age 19, making his Olympic debut for Sweden? How do you think he's going to fare in the Olympics?
I think he's going to fare very well. He is one of the bigger names on the team, but right now he could be a true leader for that team, and I believe he will show up and produce very well for that team.
Landeskog right now is only 21 years old. He's been a captain of the team since last year. I mean, this guy, the playmaking of it, the intelligence that he has in the ice for a 21-year-old is unreal. I believe he might not be as great of a player or as quick as Crosby, but I think when it comes to this overall smarts, I think he's up there.
He's definitely up there, and for whenever he was named captain, he was actually named the youngest captain in the league. He beat Crosby by 11 days to be named, and which, I mean, doesn't really surprise me, but it kind of does. He's a good guy and shows leadership, but out of everyone, they picked Landeskog, and I would love to see why, because he's been a smart player, but at that young, I don't know if you need to put that much pressure on that young of a player.
19 years old and a captain. What were you doing when you were 19 years old? I was living in the dorm room at Duquesne here. I wasn't doing anything like leading the team. Can you imagine that? 19 years old.
I was sitting on the couch watching these players play. I don't know how he became that good to be captain, but he's showing that he deserves it right now by leading this team and being an incredible player to help push them up to a playoff run.
I think if the Avs have any chance of making the playoffs, which they do right now, Landeskog's going to have to keep up his good play. And for as young as he is, I do believe he has leadership ability to take this team through the Stanley Cup. He's a solid player, doesn't seem to get rattled, consistently produces, he's a big body. I really think that he could be the guy to lead them into the playoffs.
I definitely believe he could be the guy that leads them to the playoffs. And right now I'm thinking about this team, all the names they have, Matt Duchene, Nathan McKinnon, Gabriel Landeskog, Paul Stastny, all these names. It reminds me of how Chicago and the Pittsburgh Penguins rebuilt up. They got all these young players to join in and got they got so well and meshed so well together. But right now it's making me think for the future of how they're going to keep all these guys together. If they're going to become as good as everyone believes they are, one of them is going to have to leave. It's kind of sad to think, trying like Jordan Staal for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah.
But right now, live for today and let's see the Colorado Avalanche lift that Stanley Cup again.
Well, you mentioned all those great players for the playoffs. One that people seem to be forgetting is they got Max Talbot now, easily one of the biggest playoff producers currently in the NHL. I mean, the guy scores maybe 5 goals a year, but when it comes playoff time, it's not even the same person.
2009 Stanley Cup for the Pittsburgh Penguins, Game 7 of the Stanley Cup.
2 goals.
2 goals, and the Penguins won 2-1. 2 goals were scored by Max Talbot, and that was phenomenal. He led that team, and he kept them in that playoff run whenever he shushed the crowd against the Philadelphia Flyers. And man, I gotta say, he changed everything for that team.
I mean, I think Greg Sherman, Avalanche's GM, he that's why he made this trade. He knew the Avs obviously having a great year, and if they do make the playoffs, they're going to need that guy that's been there before. These Avs, really, many of them have never been there before to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And a guy like Max Talbot, who I said just completely changes, turns it to a whole new level. I believe he's going to be the guy that they can fall back on in the playoffs if they need him to. He's been there several times with the Flyers, the Penguins. He's great in the playoffs. There's nothing else I could even say.
You don't need to say anything else. That's what he is. He is a playoff player. And that's what people love about some of these fourth-line guys. Like, they're all playoff players. Craig Adams of the Pittsburgh Penguins, he's been a playoff player. Billy Guerin of the Pittsburgh Penguins is a playoff player. But right now, Max Talbot is what they needed as a playoff player. If you look before, they really didn't have that many people who were in the playoffs. Steve Downey was there earlier with Philadelphia, but besides them, really no playoff presence.
Well, out of all 4 players going to the Olympics, which one do you think is most important to their team? Duchene, Landeskog, Stastny, or Varlamov?
If Varlamov gets the starting position, I'm going to say Varlamov. But if he does not, I'm going to say Gabriel Landeskog.
I was going to say that too, actually. I think Landeskog is really going to blow people away. Varlamov, if he gets the start, then he'll be important. But there's a couple good goalies in the running for the starting position, so we don't know if he'll get it. Duchene, like I said, great player, but we don't know where he's going to fit in this stacked Team Canada. Mm-hmm. I hope he gets a chance. I believe he deserves it. That his speed, it's completely underrated. You really need to just look at highlights of him. He uses his speed, blows right by everybody, great puck handling. I hope he gets a chance, but I do think the most important player out of the Avs in the Olympics will be Gabe Landeskog.
Oh, definitely. And for Paul Stastny, for Team USA, not as like critically depth as Team Canada, and he's going to be a big part of it, but I don't think he is going to be the game changer that Landeskog will be.
No. Well, we're going to wrap it up here at the Yeti Cave Radio show. Like I said, the Avs have one more game before the break against the New York Islanders, which, like I said, Islanders have been struggling, but what do you think? What is your projection for this game?
I'm going to say 3-2 Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, I hope so. It would be good to get a win before that long break. I mean, they've had such a disappointing run after winning 4 games in a row. And I don't know if I mentioned that before. They had 2 losses in a row, but they won 4 in a row before that, and they were outscoring their opponents 18-9, and then they just hit a wall and have scored only 4 goals in their last 3. I mean, they need to get back on track, but you don't want to go into the Olympic break on a bad note like that. You don't want that hanging over your head.
You don't. You want to go in with a win. and I believe they will be going in with a win tonight against the New York Islanders at 5 o'clock. I believe it's going to be the Avalanche winning 3-2.
May clarify that game is on actually tomorrow night at 5 o'clock,
tomorrow
Saturday.
night. Saturday. Oh.
Well, all right. Well, that should do it for us here at the Yeti Cave. Alex Nicholas.
And I'm Max Willis.
All right. Stay tuned next week. We'll have another show coming at you. And go Avs, go.
For our first show, I don't think that was bad. How long did that last?
It's still going. 20 minutes.